Easter week here on 100 Huntley Street. We are remembering, we are unpacking, we are being changed by, again, the single most important event in the history of the world. That's a fact. With Easter, with Good Friday, with Easter Sunday, the world has never been the same again, and that's why we take it so seriously here on this great program, teaching you right now God's Word and exposing to you lives that have been changed by this story, by this man, this God, Jesus Christ the Lord. Philippians 3 verse 10 is our text this week. Let me remind you what it says. Paul says this, who wrote this, that I may know Him, Christ, and the power of the resurrection. He says that I may know Him by faith and the power that is found in Jesus Christ in His resurrection. Why is this so powerful? It is so powerful here because everything changed with Easter. Think about it. The moment Jesus Christ walks out of the tomb is the moment Jesus had just defeated death forever. Forever. The resurrection proves that payment for sin was made. When Jesus is raised from the dead, He becomes the first fruits, a farming term of a sample of the harvest that is yet to come. Jesus is proof that, again, death has been forever defeated. And here's what you got to know right now. You're here. Listen to this. Every single person who knows Christ, loves Christ, who believes in Jesus Christ, they too have been given victory over death. Eternally, forever. There's nothing to be afraid of at death because that's when we actually start to live. That I may know Him and the power of His resurrection. Is that your story today? Do you know Him and the power of His resurrection? I mean, just think of Paul himself. Again, Paul, who wrote this letter to the church in Philippi, think of his testimony. He was trying to kill Christians. I mean, he was bragging upon his own pedigree, his own intellect. In Philippians 3, he was bragging about his own strength. And then what happens? He meets Christ in his arrogance and in his blindness. He thought he had life figured out. But then Paul realized when he met the Lord Jesus Christ, all of his paradigm crumbled. All of a sudden he realized he knew nothing. His foundation was destroyed. But that's when the true foundation of Jesus Christ he started to rest upon. This is what Paul says. He says, I used to think I had it figured out. Then I met Jesus Christ, and all of a sudden, all of life came into view. And now we can say that I may know Him and the power of His resurrection. Again, think about how our world is aligned with Paul's testimony too. Our world can be so arrogant, so presumptuous, so blind in our sin. We think we have it all figured out, but if we don't have Christ, we have nothing figured out. And so again, think of ourselves right now. Are you and I, are we standing on a foundation that we think will last if it's built in ourselves? Or do we realize that all of life is knowing Christ and the power of His resurrection? Did you know that every day over 150,000 people die in this world? That's 6,300 people an hour. That's 105 people a minute. That's 1.8 people die per second. And how many people enter into eternity without truth, without hope, without Christ? This, again, is why Paul says that I may know Him and the power of His resurrection, the day that everything changed. Do you know Him? Call us today. Would you call us? Call us right now. Find out purpose and meaning and the value of life. 1-866-273-4444 to know Him and the power of His resurrection. May it be so.